Hey there everybody, I'm Jeff. This is Tabletop Toolbox, and here we are with episode number 19 of the Weekly Ratchet. And you know what? I got some games this week, and I played some games this week, so why don't we have ourselves a content-filled episode of the Weekly Ratchet, shall we? Yes, here we are with the Weekly Ratchet. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you've all had a fantastic week of gaming with friends and family. Let me know what you've been playing lately in the comments of this video. I'd like to check it out. It's been a crazy week. Hey, do you like my Hawaiian shirt? This is my board gaming Hawaiian shirt. Ordered this from Geeks Outfit. It took forever to come in. I ordered this for a neighborhood Hawaiian shirt party. Yes, the dreaded neighborhood Hawaiian shirt party. But I ordered it like 2 weeks early, and it showed up like a week and a half after the party had ended. So that kind of stunk, but it's a nice shirt. Fits okay. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, so I thought, let's wear it on the Weekly Ratchet, shall we? Anyways, it's been a crazy week of filming and just all kinds of stuff here. I got the video out for Last Command. This launched today on Kickstarter. It's Tuesday, the 11th of June. I was working a whole weekend getting this one done. And it's funny because if you see this, and you should check out this video, I brought back the Lego animation, all right? But I didn't do Lego stop motion because even as C.R. Pohl himself mentioned in the Ratchet a few weeks ago that I didn't declare that I wasn't going to do it anymore, but it is a crap ton of work. The last time I did this was actually quite a few years ago. On the Dice Tower, I did a review of Deep Space D6 Armada, a cooperative game that isn't really very good, unfortunately, but I did a ton of Lego work on it, and I wanted to do it again because this is it just felt like the right game to bring back those characters. Captain Legolia, I didn't get to do Ensign Stefan, which was actually voiced by Stephen Bonacore, so I had Daniel help me out with Ensign Daniels on this one. But like I said, I didn't do stop motion. What I actually found was a 3D model of a Lego minifig with all the independent pieces. And so then I was able to set the pivot points and actually animate in 3D, virtual, CGI, the movements of each of these characters. And it was a hell of a setup. It took a ton of work to get everything kind of loaded up the right way, to get the graphics and the animation, get the, the shirts for each figure, get the facial features all set up. But once I got it, animating each scene was very, very quick. And once I kind of figured out, okay, about here's how many frames it should take to move an arm or turn a head. I even was able to animate the facial features of the Ensign Daniel character, which was a little extra work. But again, once I got it right, it was really easy, and now I should be able to drag and drop these characters into any video that I basically want to. And so, yeah, it was a lot of upfront work, but it would save me a ton of effort in any future projects. Now, I'm not going to make these guys show up in every game I do. That's not really what I want to do here with Tabletop Toolbox, but I really enjoy these characters, and I really enjoy that humor that I get to do with them. The Captain Legolia character is kind of supposed to be the Magoo captain, right? And in fact, I'm looking forward already to bringing him back for the, I'm forgetting the name of the game, but it's a space sort of cruise ship game. I've mentioned it early episodes of the Ratchet, and so I'm looking forward to bringing him back for those. Anyways, too much rambling about videos and Lego characters. You know what? Let's go ahead and get into some new games. Okay, you know what? A lot of new games to cover this week. First of all, I did finally get that last Star Trek, the deck building game that I was expecting. And yeah, it's pretty much the same stuff as the last two I showed you last week. There is a different rule book in this one, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a little more clear to get through. Haven't gotten to play these yet. Hopefully at some point I will get to do that. But that one showed up, and we'll talk about that just a little bit more with the question of the week. Now, also, I really goofed last week, and I forgot to mention a couple games that I got last week, which were birthday gifts, and I cannot believe that I failed to mention them. Let me actually do this one first. This is Nut, Yeah, moving on. This is one of those Paco games from Chris Handy. This was a gift from my wife and daughter for my birthday, among some other little things, which was certainly nice. Then I got a few gifts from good old Daniel himself. This is Avant-Card. It is a deck building game, which makes me feel a little bad that it's still in shrink, but we will get this played here at some point because I love a good deck building game, obviously based on the Avant-Garde art form, which I'll admit I don't know anything about, so I'm curious to check that one out. Daniel also got me Birds of a Feather, Western North America. This is a sort of a reprint of a game from Snowbright Studio. I got to play this one, and I'll chat about it in a little bit. The other one that came in is Lands. Whoops. I'll fix that. This was Lands of the Mesozoic. This is from Pungo Games, which ironically is also from Worthington Publisher, I believe is the parent company. And this is from Virginia Beach, like 2 hours from me. Okay, actually, it's that direction. Anyways, I had backed this on Kickstarter, and they were making all these updates about, games are shipping. You should all have your games here, if not by now, very, very soon. I kind of kept waiting. Where the heck's my game? And I went and I checked. I bid like $10, or not bid. I backed it for like $10, so I wasn't going to get a pledge. It was one of those I meant to go back and update the pledge, and I never did. And so I wasn't going to get the game, but I reached out to them. They were really cool about it. I basically ordered the game online. They comped me my shipping because I backed it for the $10. And then they even tossed in the Kickstarter cards, just a little pack of cards. And I really appreciate that. This looks neat. It's kind of it's not really a Wingspan adjacent game, but it has that idea of, you're sort of building out this tableau of cards. But what's kind of neat is that you need various land cards that then will attract the herbivore dinosaurs. You need to have certain herbivore dinosaurs to then sort of support the food chain of the carnivore dinosaurs. And so it almost kind of reminds me a little bit of the game of Meadow by Rebel Studios. And I'm really curious to see how this one plays out. The art looks really nice. I mean, it's simple, basic art, kind of National Geographic style stuff, but it looks kind of cool. I've been trying to read the rulebook. There's not enough pictures in the rulebook to kind of help you learn how to play it. So I just have to do a lot of reading, and I just tend to zone out when I do that. Anyways, hopefully more about this coming soon. Okay, lastly, hang on. I was back at Barnes & Noble over the weekend. I made the comment, I think a week or two ago, that our local Barnes & Noble is going out of business. And so I swung in. My daughter wanted to grab some more books, and I picked up a couple more games. I got Tiny Epic Dinosaurs. I have a whole bunch of Tiny Epic games over here. A bunch of them are still in shrink. I really should do something about that. And so we went ahead and played this. I'll talk about it in a little bit. I then picked up S'mores Wars. I'm sure this game is pure crap. I have very low expectations for it. It is a Prospero Hall game. I actually just realized that. But I figured even if we don't really like this, it would probably do very well to leave it at our cabin. So I picked that one up. And then, what is this? Kay, you know anything about this one? Boza, also by Prospero Hall and Funko Games. Curious. I'll talk about this one in a little bit. And that is finally it for new games. So let's go ahead and jump into Question of the Week. Okay, coming into Question of the Week. Last week I asked you to tell me about a game that you purchased, maybe on an impulse buy, something that you saw and you thought, I need to have this, maybe because of the theme or the box cover art or the IP, whatever it may have been. This was inspired by my recent acquisitions of the Star Trek deck building games from 2011, 2012. I don't really have high hopes for these, but I love the Star Trek theme and I love deck building games. So I picked these up and I got some good responses. Starting off here first with Simulation Chris, who said that he used to panic buy and has stopped doing that because he was often disappointed in himself and disappointed in the games. I can certainly understand that, Chris. I think I was kind of looking for positive experiences, but I understand where you're coming from. I was a bit puzzled, just for clarity, the comment you made about wishing that you had gotten the expansions with the Fallout game. It kind of sounded like you actually wished that you had sort of panic purchased those expansions, but I wasn't clear. So feel free to set me straight on that one. I do have the Fallout games. I have not played the newest Atomic Bonds expansion, which is supposed to fix the game's last couple of issues. It is a neat game. I really like it for a solo game personally, but I have not played it with other players in a long time. quite a long time. Anyways, moving on. Wonderflonium said that he picked up Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the Lord of the Rings living card games because he loves the IPs and he enjoys those games despite some of their imperfections. I'm not big into either of those IPs myself. I read Lord of the Rings, the books, but it was a long time ago. I do, however, remember the first time that we were in college shooting pool in one of the dorm room buildings. There was a TV in the corner, and Sarah Michelle Gellar came on screen for the first time. All activity in that room ground to a halt, and yeah, I'm going to need a moment. Rentless said he was browsing a thrift store and found a meeple-shaped box. It turned out to be the 10th anniversary of Carcassonne, and that was one of the first games he ever purchased, and so he still has it. Rentless, I can certainly appreciate that idea of wanting to hold on to some of your early game collections. I still have games like Planet, the Lanterns game, and what's the other one I was just thinking of? It is the Archipelago game that was recommended by Shut Up and Sit Down a bunch of years ago. Have not played it in a long time. It is a great game. It's a good game. That's one reason why I've also held on to it, but it was also one of the first games that we ever acquired. So I can respect that for sure. Kay said that she randomly picked up Boza, as she mentioned the other week. And yes, I will be talking about that one again here in a moment myself. Wayne Kruger didn't actually address the question of the week, but said that he too would be at Dice Tower East and said that hopefully we could meet up and maybe get a game played. Yes. And thank you, Wayne. By the way, I actually a first-time poster. He's commented a couple times in the past, but not about question of the week or maybe kind of like the week after. So wanted to give him some recognition for being new to the channel as well. Anyways, as Dice Tower East gets a little closer, I'll let folks know what my schedule is. I don't know what it is at this moment. Camilla is kind of handling the high-level planning, and so she's going to let me know kind of what events I'm going to be responsible for, that kind of thing. They do make sure that they're the crew, the on-air personalities, if you will, get chances to meet and play games with other people. So I'm sure I'll get to be doing that. And I also told Camilla that I'm kind of a night owl person myself, and so I think I'll be scheduled for some of the more evening activities, which is certainly fine with me. That is where I tend to have the most fun, for sure. So, as I know my schedule, I'll let people know. Thanks for mentioning that, Wayne. Mark B. told a really neat story about his experiences with Stone Age and Wingspan. He talked about how he had missed Stone Age over a couple of opportunities. He didn't pick it up or he couldn't find it, whatever, and finally had a chance to get one of the collector's editions and just loved the game. And then he talked about how that kind of opened him up to checking out other games. And then he found out about Wingspan. He is kind of a bird enthusiast. And so that was the first game he ever pre-ordered. And of course, is a game that he really, really enjoys. Now, I've played both of those games. I had Stone Age for a short while. It didn't really click with me that much. I went ahead and passed it on. Also, Wingspan. I kind of thought my wife would really like Wingspan, and she was kind of ho-hum on it. And so I never did pick up that one. But I can certainly appreciate the idea of games sort of opening up your ambition, opening you up to trying out some new stuff and looking into some new games. I thought that was a really cool theme to sort of bring up. And it's actually a video that I want to do here on this channel. The Dice Tower did something similar. I'm going to rip it off. No shame there. But talking about games that either you wish had come out a lot earlier or that at least you had found a lot earlier. Games that, I think of a couple games that if they were available and maybe I had found out about them much earlier in my life, I probably would have been doing board games and maybe even board game content a lot sooner. That would have been, I think, pretty neat. Anyways, thank you again for all the comments. I, of course, prefaced this whole topic talking about the Star Trek games that I recently found, but what I want to share sort of my, something that did get me into the hobby kind of early, or maybe had a chance to get me into the hobby. Anyway, it's a game that I picked up a long time ago and a game that was kind of, again, no question I'm going to get into this game. This is Star Trek again, but this is the collectible card game from Decipher. Now, I think Decipher is still in business, but they abandoned this game a long time ago. This is one of the collector's editions from back in I want to say the late 90s or at least very, very early 2000s. These are silver bordered cards of the very original series of cards, very original series of the game. Anyways, I haven't played this since high school. This was a game that I played a lot with my good buddy Doug Hager. I still love collecting these cards. I still love reading them. I love seeing what they do. I really, really wish I could play this game again. Doug got rid of his cards a long time ago and has expressed no interest in playing it again, although I have enough cards to probably build 6 or 7 decks, maybe even more. But yeah, this was the game that, again, when it came out, I had sort of just been raised in Star Trek. I wouldn't even say that I was big into Star Trek. It was just kind of all that I knew as far as our IPs go. And so, yeah, this was just a favorite game of mine for a very long time. I will probably have these on hand forever, right? Anyways, that was question of the week. For the next week was going to be episode number 20. Now, first of all, let me chat real quick about next week. Monday, I will be here in town. It's going to be a regular day. Tuesday, I have to leave at the butt crack of dawn to get over to Virginia Beach so I can get on a boat and go about 30 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach to go and look at wind turbines. This actually has to do with my career, my full-time job. I'm working on this massive wind farm project. We have 2 pilot turbines spinning out there in the ocean right now, and I'm going to go and look at them, probably get some pictures, maybe some video. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it, and I'm sure I'll be sharing some of that in the weeks to come. So I just don't know what I'm going to be able to do for a Ratchet. I'll probably film over the weekend, which means it's going to be a very, very short turnaround to the next episode. So what I'm going to do for next week is open up and ask me anything. A good old-fashioned AMA. Ask me anything you'd like to talk about, anything you'd like me to share. It can be and probably should be mostly board game related, but I think you know enough about some of my other hobbies that feel free to ask me whatever you'd like. Now, if I don't air your question, chances are good that it's not something I feel comfortable talking about, or maybe your question was really silly and I just don't want to get into it. But ask me anything and we'll see how this goes for good old episode number 20. I'm looking forward to it. That was question of the week. Let me get into some recently played games. Okay, getting into some recently played games, and I'm a little flustered because this is the 3rd time that I have tried to film this segment. And the reason is because the first game is John Nan, Life of Gentry. This is from Moa Ideas Game Design. This was a Kickstarter that the Dice Tower sent me for a review. I finally got to play this with my good buddy Daniel last week, and man, I really struggled to get through the rule book on this one. I don't even know that it's poorly written. That's not my knee-jerk reaction to it. It was just really, really wordy for some reason, and it was just difficult for me to get through it. There was also some typos. There were a couple things where it literally referenced instructions out of order that was a little confusing. There was also some font color choices that were very poorly made. We got through it. We played the game. It's a really, really weird game. I'll put it to you this way. If your name is Matt Ball, you would probably crush at this, and I would not want to play you. But it's this weird idea of sort of drafting these tiles to be able to then place workers, to be able to then take actions, to be able to then move workers down or sort of, move workers down to these boats that then set up mid-game and end-game scoring opportunities. And so it is this really, really weird sort of conveyor belt of movement. Okay, I need to do this so that I can do that, but I also need to do this so I can get on this boat so I can get the most scoring opportunities. And you just feel like you have so much to do and you can't possibly get it all done. You don't really have the agency that you would like to have. Sometimes you are really torn between progressing your game and also competing against another player who you can already clearly see is going to pick up some crazy endgame scoring, and it kind of then makes you decide, well, do I just do the same thing that they're doing so I can be competitive, or do I check out what else this game has to offer? I struggled so hard with this, and in the endgame scoring, I got absolutely slaughtered in this game because I just could not keep up with what Daniel was working on. He had one part of the game that he was really heavily focused in, and I was kind of trying to be competitive in it, but also trying to check out what else the game had to offer. The way that you're sort of drafting these action tiles to be able to take actions later, he kind of very smartly kept me from being able to do some of the actions. And so in the end, he absolutely took off as I knew he would. And yeah, I kind of had to just sit there and watch myself get clobbered. The thing is with this game, so the biggest thing with this game is that we played it 2-player, as I kind of get to play a lot of games. And we were talking about it afterwards, and we are looking through the rule book, and I was talking about, well, there's these additional chapters. You're supposed to actually play the game like 6 times. It kind of evolves every time that you play it. We'll never get through all of them. We just never will. But we were looking at the rules for it, and on the second half of the page, it says, oh, here's the 2-player rules. On page 25 of the rule book. And at nowhere else in all the setup, the 14-something steps of setting up this game, did it ever say, oh, by the way, if you're playing it 2-player, check out page 25. I didn't see it. I am going to look through it again, see if it's maybe in the foreword that I missed or something like that. But we had finished the game. We were done. And then we realized that we actually played it wrong because there is an entirely different way of playing the game 2-player. You have to use an extra set of colors per player. It changes this sort of area control mechanism of these boats that you're moving, blah, blah, blah. And I was so upset that we had gone through all of this and then realized it's almost like it didn't even matter. I still don't know how to actually play the game, at least at 2-player, because we missed these instructions. And that's going to, if I ever do get a video made of this, I'm going to ding that pretty hard because that really ticked me off. Anyways, that was John Nan, and that was the last time I'm going to film this segment, I assure you. Next, we played Tiny Epic Dinosaurs. And this is a quick shout out to my good friends Katie and Greg Barley of the Meeple Society. This is like a mini Dinogenics. It really kind of is. You're building these little dinosaur parks, and you get these dinosaurs, and you've got to feed them just like Dinogenics. You've got to enclose them just like Dinogenics. You've got a little some natural barriers that you can work with. And you can also buy fences to kind of fence in your dinosaurs. The weird thing with this one is that you've got these contracts to try and turn in. You're trying to complete these contracts, basically selling your dinosaurs to parts unknown, frankly. But you've got some public face-up contracts, and then you also have private contracts, but you can only fulfill the private if you are also fulfilling a public. You got to do them at the same time. The public ones usually require 3 dinosaurs. The private ones require 7. You can only hold maybe 9 or so dinos in your park, and they become very, very difficult to keep fed throughout this game. And my daughter, we played this with her, even though it's an age 14 and up game. She's almost 12. We knew it was going to be a little bit of a stretch, and so I was really kind of coaching her through the game, although there quickly became so much for me to manage that I kind of lost focus a little bit on what she was doing. I let her kind of skirt a couple of the rules, a couple of things I realized she was going to goof up and she was going to get penalized for, and I let her know about it, but I said, don't worry about it, just keep playing the game. She was getting really flustered that she's like, well, I can do my private contract. I was like, well, yeah, but you can't because you have to do a public one as well. And she goes, that's too hard. And I was like, yeah, we're all in agreement on that. It's tricky. I focused when I was actually going to do both on a turn, and then she took the public contract that I was working on, and that really threw me off. I got a bunch of public contracts done. I did win the game by like 2 points, but she was right behind me, and she actually beat her mother, although, again, I kind of let her skirt some rules. The weird thing with this one is that getting the dinosaurs is way easier than it is in Dinogenics. You can either just go to one particular, it's kind of a worker placement game. You can just go to one of the spots, spend a crate, and get a dinosaur, period. Or you can kind of go hunting for the dinosaur, which is a weird turn, but you place your worker, and you're going to get the dino. No matter what, you get the dino. You roll a die. If you get like this kind of injury symbol, your worker and the dino goes to like an infirmary, which doesn't actually penalize you at all because you're still going to get them at the end of the round, and you'll have a chance to place them in your park. But it clears the action spot so other players can go there. If you get a net, you just get the dino and you're good. If you roll an egg on this die, you get 2 of the dinos. And your first thought is, haha, 2 for the price of 1, until you realize that you got to feed little bastards. And then suddenly the game became very, very difficult because as you're building out your park, you're covering these spaces that would give you the resources. You only get the resources if the park is empty. As the park fills up, you get less resources, and you have to rely on the worker placement actions of the market to be able to get those resources, but you can only have 1 worker per spot, yada, yada, yada. The game gets really, really difficult. I was getting flustered as we played it, but ultimately I did enjoy it, and I would like to check it out some more. Tiny Epic Dinosaurs. All right, next game we played was Birds of a Feather. This is a really light little card game. It only uses half this box, which I thought was kind of funny. We played this at the Center of the Universe Brewery that I mentioned before. And the quick idea of this is that you get a hand of cards. You have all your cards at the beginning of the game, and on your turn you play a card face down. When everyone has chosen their card, you reveal them. The cards have like 6 different colors of different environments, okay? Kind of like a suit. And when all the cards are revealed, you then check off all the birds that you see of the environment of the card that you played. So if I played an orange card and my daughter played an orange card, then I get to see both of them. If my wife played a purple card, she only sees her purple card. And there's also a dummy deck that you reveal from because you have to have at least 4 players in the game. Then all those birds move to an inner circle, and they're kind of like lingering birds or something like that. And you play another card. Same thing, face down, all revealed at the same time. You can play a totally different color. It doesn't matter. You can do anything you want. If I had then played a purple card, I would see my purple card and the purple card that my wife played in the previous turn, and any other purple cards that might be out there. If another orange card comes out, because I had played orange in the previous turn, I don't get to see the new orange bird. Basically, I have moved to a new environment, and now I'm going to see the bird that I just played, any purple birds that were just played, and the purple birds that were there in the previous round. Unless someone played a raptor card. Any raptor card of that suit. So if someone had played a purple raptor, it would scare away my wife's purple card from the previous round, and so I would not get to see that card. I would see the purple raptor that had come out, my current purple card would stay, and that's basically it. At the end of the game, you're getting points for each of the birds that you saw, and if you saw all the birds of a certain color, you get a scoring bonus. Some of the cards are more common than others, and even the very, very common egg card, which is just kind of like the symbol of the card, does not score you anything, but you need to have it to score the complete set. It was a neat game. The only thing that was kind of frustrating was that all in the rulebook and even on the box itself, somewhere, it tells you that you can go and scan to get the, no, it's on the back of the box right here. It tells you you can scan this QR code to go and get the scoring app, and you can just tap all the cards that you got to see, and it makes it super easy to score, except for the app was abandoned a while ago, and you can't actually download it. Thankfully, it had scorecards in here, but of course, then we're scrambling to get pens and pencils in the middle of a brewery. That was kind of frustrating, but it was still a pretty neat game. We actually had some fun playing it, and I would like to check this one out some more. Just a very nice, relaxing, chill game about checking out birds. Mark, this might interest you. It is Western North America, so take that as you will. Anyways, the last game that I played, the last one I'll talk about is Boza. Boza is a drafting game where you are sort of building out this tableau of cards in the city of Boza, or town of Boza. It is a jewel of Sardinia's west coast. It's an idyllic town. Okay, a town. This one's cute. You got 6 different colors of buildings, and as you're playing them out, you trigger a row or a column that new card just went into. You're collecting resources. There was sort of like pottery or ceramics. There was textiles. We just called them threads or spools. And then there was, what was the third one? Okay, what was the third one? Oh, fish or food. And there's also money. So sometimes you're collecting money, sometimes you're collecting resources, maybe sometimes you're spending money to get resources or vice versa. And you're also spending any of those resources to get points through each round. You're eventually going to build a 4x4 grid of these cards. And again, throughout the game, you're just trying to collect these resources and turn around and spend them to get points. That's it. At the end of each round, there are 3 sort of rounds in the game, 5 turns per round. You then spend all the money that you have on this kind of sliding scale of points. So you may spend 4 money to get 9 points, 12 money to get 18 points, something like that. And it kind of increases. And you have to spend that money, but any leftovers you get to hold on to into the next round. And then there are these end game goals that you can play with. They're optional, and they may set up some criteria to, maybe have a certain variety of colors. I had a bunch of scoring cards that said to have certain colors of cards, of buildings, with all different colors around them. And I also had some scoring cards that said to finish, I think it was columns or quadrants, corners of this 4x4 grid with only 2 colors in them. And right away, I just knew that would be impossible because you just don't know what's going to come out, especially in the 2-player game. Now, my wife and daughter kind of teamed up against me as a one-on-one. And in the 2-player game, you have to take a ton of cards out of each of the 3 decks that make up the 3 rounds. And so you don't know what you've taken out. And it's not a specific set of cards. You just randomly remove like 17 cards. And so you have no idea what's going to be in those decks. And it was impossible for me to focus on just 2 colors. There was absolutely no way for me to do it. My wife and daughter got cards that rewarded them for having a variety of different colors and having at least 3 of each color, which they managed to do. And so they scored a ton of endgame points over me, and I, again, just got clobbered in this game. It was cute. I liked it. I do kind of wish that when games did that, they would sort of dictate the specific cards to take out so that the game would sort of stay balanced. The problem that we had, at least that I had, was it was very, very difficult to collect resources. A lot of the cards that I got required resources to then spend to get points, but I didn't get a lot of cards that gave me resources. And in the second of the 3 seasons, one card came out that said you could just get 2 of anything that you wanted. My wife and daughter got to take that card, and that would have been really nice for me to have. Everything else that came out for the rest of the game were cards that had costs instead of providing these resources. And so I was just starved late game. I would play out a card and nope, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. I'll turn in this and just get 2 points. So that was a little frustrating. It was, like I said, it was cute. I liked it, but not something I would necessarily jump on to play if given the opportunity. I was surprised by this because this is from Funko Games and Prospero Hall, also behind the Avant-Garde game that I just mentioned, and I also talked about the Disney animated game, which is from the same team. But Funko Games sold off Prospero Hall. I think they sort of dissolved or shut down Prospero Hall. So it's interesting to see these games keep coming out, even though I know that this team doesn't work together, doesn't even necessarily exist anymore. And so it's kind of curious to see what's going to come out next. What's going to be the next batch of games from Funko Hall, or Funko Games, now that they don't have Prospero Hall to rely on. Because they're a pretty reputable design team, Prospero Hall was, but they're not anymore. Anyways, hey, that was the Weekly Ratchet. Those were the games that I played, the games that I got, and the topics for this week. Thank you so much for stopping by. I always love chatting with folks. Go and check out the Last Command and the Wormwood games. Obviously, back them if they tickle your interest, and I look forward to chatting some more soon. Don't forget, ask me anything for next week. Hopefully that episode will come out without any scheduling issues, and if not, I'll definitely catch you the week after. Have a good one, folks. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.